Hello and welcome to Monk's first annual MMA DFS Best of for 2022 Light Heavyweight Edition, guys, right here on the Monkmatician channel. It's I, your host, Monk, aka the Monkmatician, and in this very episode, guys, we're going to be giving out 10 awards related to DFS, DraftKings, whatever you want to call it, for the light heavyweight division, guys. Let's get right into it. First of all, hit the like, hit the sub on the channel. Most appreciated. We're going to be giving out 10 awards like I alluded to. Most active light heavyweight fighter, most wins, most raw DraftKings points per minute, most bonus points per fight, most DraftKings points, least DraftKings points against, best scoring percentage, best optimal rate, top 10 scores, and the best overall light heavyweight for 2022. Without further ado, let's get right into it. First award, most active light heavyweight in 2022 out of 42 light heavyweight fighters. 17 made the optimal lineup. Who is some of the most active fighters of the year? Well, guys, we've got a 7-way tie for most active fighter. Some very active light heavyweights in 2022. Nicky Gums, Nikolai Negu-Mariano, Kennedy Nchukwu, Ion Cutelaba, Magomed Ankalaev, Nikita Krylov, Carlos Ulberg, and Dustin Jacoby all fought 3 times. They went 13-7-1, that pesky draw. Combined record 13-7-1 in 2022. Some very active light heavyweight division. Got to give them credit for that. 7 guys fought 3 times. That's more than I believe any other division we've covered so far in these awards. The most wins at light heavyweight. Let's see what all that activity got these guys. A several-way tie. A several-way tie for second place. Magomed Ankalaev, Nikita Krylov, Alonzo Menafield, Kennedy Nchukwu, Dustin Jacoby, Jamal Hill, Nicky Gums, Khalil Roundtree, Azamat Mirzakhanov, and Tyson Pedro all tied for second place with 2 wins in 2022 in the light heavyweight division. But who had the most? Only one fighter did better than 2 wins. He scored 3 wins. That was Carlos Ulberg, the man, the myth, the legend, 100% win rate at light heavyweight. He went 3-0 in 2022, the only fighter in the division with 3 wins. Most raw DraftKings points per minute, guys. This is the best offensive pace that you can get. Best offensive pace that you can get. I don't know what I'm talking about. The best offensive pace that you can get right here. Number 5, Kennedy Nchukwu scores 3.64 points per minute in 2022. Number 4, and guys, also, you have to have a 2-fight minimum to qualify for these awards. Number 4, Ion Cutelaba scores 4.21 points a minute this year. Number 3, Tyson Pedro. He annihilating people and annihilating these leaderboards. 5.22 points per minute. Number 2, Nikita Krylov had a hell of a 2022. 7.46 raw DraftKings points per minute. And the number 1 overall best offensive pace goes to Alonzo Menafield. 7.47 raw DraftKings points per minute is what Alonzo Menafield scored, and that is number 1 all year. Most bonus points per fight. DraftKings awards bonus points depending on how soon you finish your fight. Number 5, there is a 3-way tie for number 5. Azamat Mirzakhanov tied with Paul Craig, tied with Johnny Walker. 45 points per fight. I almost said Paul Walker instead of Paul Craig. That would be pretty difficult if you know anything about Paul Walker. 45 points per fight. Number 4, Khalil Roundtree, scoring 50 points per fight. Number 3, Jamal Hill put up 65 bonus points per fight. Number 2, Carlos Ulberg, 70 points per fight as far as bonus points go. And who put up the most bonus points per fight in the light heavyweight division? It was a 2-way tie. Alonzo Menafield and Tyson Pedro, both averaging 90 points per fight. My goodness. Some first round finishers, Alonzo Menafield and Tyson Pedro, which is really what we're all looking for as far as DFS. Am I right or am I right? Come on, guys. Most DraftKings points for 2022. Just most points overall from the light heavyweight division 2022. Number 5, Dustin Jacoby put up 234.05. Number 4, Kennedy Nchukwu scored 236.4. Number 3, Magomed Ankalaev scored 260 0.43. He should be higher if he would have gotten that win over Blachowicz, but I digress. Number 2 is going to be Nikita Krylov, scoring 269.65. And the number 1 most DraftKings points scored for light heavyweight in 2022 is going to be Carlos Ulberg. 281.52 is what Ulberg ended up scoring. What a year Carlos Ulberg is having at light heavyweight. Least DraftKings points against, aka fewest DraftKings points allowed, a defensive category. Number 5, Khalil Roundtree, allowing just 55.35 points. Number 4, Azamat Murzakanov, allowing significantly fewer than that, 30.4. Is that the right number? Because if so, I have these out of order. Carlos Ulberg allowed how many? 35. Oh, no, I did this wrong. Carlos Ulberg, number 4 is Azamat Murzakanov at 30.40. Number 3 is Carlos Ulberg, but his number is not 35. That's his DraftKings ratio. That's how many times he outscored his opponents, or what he outscored them by, I should say. His DraftKings points against is 7.86 is what Carlos Ulberg allowed. 7.86 points, and he fought 3 times. Number 2, Alonzo Menafield, 4.80 is all Menafield allowed in 2 fights. And number 1, fewest DraftKings points allowed 2022 is Tyson Pedro. He fought twice, I do believe. Tyson Pedro, yes, fought twice, won twice, allowed only 2.40 points in 2022. The least all year. Congratulations. Best scoring percentage at light heavyweight 2022. Magomed Ankalaev, number 5, scoring 77.68% of all DraftKings points scored in his fights. Number 4, Azamat Murzakanov, scoring 84.74%. Number 3, this is where it just gets crazy. Carlos Ulberg scored 97.28% of all points scored in his fights, and he was 3rd best in this division. Number 2, Alonzo Menafield, scoring 97.92% of the DraftKings points in his fights. And number 1 overall best scoring percentage 2022, Tyson Pedro, with 98.88% of all DraftKings points scored in his fights. My goodness, 98.88% scoring percentage. Fantastic. Best optimal rate for light heavyweight. Number 9, we have a 2-way tie at number 9. Dustin Jacoby and Nicky Gums. Nikolai Negomariano, both making optimal once out of 3 fights for a 33.33% optimal rate. Number 4, a 5-way tie. Alonzo Menafield, Tyson Pedro, almost did it again. Johnny Walker, Murzakanov, and Khalil Roundtree. It's not Paul Walker and it's not Richard Roundtree. It is Johnny Walker and Khalil Roundtree, both making optimal once out of 2 fights for a 50% optimal rate. And the best overall optimal rate, I have a feeling it's a 3-way tie between Carlos Ulberg, Nikita Krylov, and Kennedy Nchukwu, both making optimal twice out of 3 fights for a 66.67% optimal rate. Fantastic stuff. Again, 2-fight minimum in case you're wondering about that. Top 10 scores, aka the top 10 individual DraftKings performances of 2022 at light heavyweight. My personal favorite category to do in all of these videos. Number 10, Kennedy Nchukwu over Carl Roberson. Let's see, 106.18 points is what Kennedy scored. Finished him in just over 12 minutes. Number 9, 106.61 is what Glover Teixeira put up in a loss. In a loss to Yuri Prohashka, in which both guys made the optimal lineup. The stack pays off. He got subbed in the just under 25 minutes, 24.5 minutes. Glover Teixeira was subbed and scored 106.61. Number 8, Johnny, don't call me Paul Walker. 107.9 points is what he scored against Ian Cutelaba, subbing him in 4.5 minutes. Number 7, Tyson Pedro, putting it on Ike Villanueva. Finished him way early, 108.8 points. Let's see, finished him in just under 5 minutes. Number 6, Nicky Gums, Nikolai Negomariano, against Ihor Pateria, put up 111.83. Finished him in 8.5 minutes. Number 5, Yelton Almeida. Remember that name. Danilo Marquez was his opponent. He scored 118.82 0.44 points. Finished him in just under 3 minutes. Number 4, Nikita Krylov against the return of Alexander Gustafsson, if you could even call it a return. Finished him very early, scored 120.67, just over a minute is when that finish came. 122.57 is what Alonzo Menafield scored, putting him in 3rd place in this discussion against the fraudulent Asker Mozarov. Let's see, finished him in just under 5 minutes. Number 2 was Yuri Prohashka, in which he got that sub, the aforementioned sub that Glover Teixeira was victim to. 24.5 minutes in their title fight, in which they both made the optimal lineup. What a fight. And number 1, best light heavyweight DraftKings performance of 2022, none other than Nikita Krylov over Volkan Ozdemir. Nikita Krylov just had the 4th best performance as well against Gustafsson. Well, he gets the best performance overall at the division against Volkan Ozdemir. 127.31 is what Krylov scores, putting him at the top of the division. Guys, we have one left, the best overall light heavyweight when it comes to DraftKings of 2022. Hit the like, hit the sub on this channel. Who's it going to be out of all 42 fighters? It's going to be Carlos Ulberg. Guys, Carlos Ulberg, best light heavyweight overall for MMA DFS. He went 3-0. He was optimal twice. 93.84 points per win is what he's averaging. 3.58 raw DraftKings points a minute. Scored 281.52, the best in the division. Outscored his opponents 35.82 to 1. At $8,500 average salary. 70 bonus points per fight on average, and he scored 97.28% of all DraftKings points in his fights, guys. Carlos Ulberg was at the tippy top of this division when it comes to DraftKings. Almost a guarantee to make optimal, and when he did, guys, he put up some fantastic numbers, scoring more points than anyone in the division. Carlos Ulberg, best light heavyweight when it comes to DFS of 2022. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Stick around. The very next episode is the last episode, or the penultimate episode, as they say. It will be the best of heavyweight DFS 2022, and following that, there's only one left, the best overall from all weight classes. Best overall MMA DFS performances, guys. That's what we will get into. 2 episodes left. Let's have a safe and happy new year, I should say. And as usual, I want all of you to enjoy the fight. So, enjoy. And we will see you in the next one. Heavyweight edition. Let's go.